Imagine a morning. You open your eyes, and in the very first second, you feel that familiar, heavy feeling in your chest. Again. The day repeats like a carbon copy of yesterday, the day before, all past days. You get out of bed as the same person, with the same thoughts, the same fears, the same limitations, and somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice asks you, is this really all that's possible in my life? Am I stuck in this version of myself forever? And today I want to tell you the truth. That very truth that will either inspire you to make radical changes right now, or you'll close this video and return to your familiar script. Because next, I'm going to show you something that will change everything, if you're ready to hear it. And now for the shocking truth that neuroscience confirms every day. Your brain physically changes every 21 days, forming new neural connections that become the automatic programs of your life. Research has shown that even at 78 years old, brain neurons continue to renew themselves, create new connections, and restructure. This is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change its structure under the influence of experience. But here's what's truly shocking. 95% of what you do, think, and feel today are automatic programs from the past. You're literally living on autopilot of yesterday's self. Every time you repeat the same thought, the same emotional reaction, the same behavior, you strengthen old neural pathways and become biologically dependent on your own past. And you know what's scariest? Most people will live their entire lives without ever knowing they could have become someone else. They'll wait for a crisis, illness, loss, something that forces them to change out of pain. But why wait for tragedy when you can start transformation right now, from a state of inspiration? I know what you're feeling. You wake up and already predict your day before it's even begun. You know what thoughts will come to your mind, what emotions you'll experience, how you'll behave in familiar situations. This isn't life. This is a replay of a recorded program. Your body has become the mind. It has memorized all your emotional states and now lives in them automatically. When you experience the same feelings of anxiety, fear, insecurity, disappointment every day, your body begins to produce corresponding chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, and gradually you become biologically addicted to these emotions, like an addict to their dose. Your body now demands its daily portion of stress because it has become accustomed to existing in precisely this state. And the hardest thing to accept is that most people don't even realize they've become hostages of their own biochemistry. They think, this is just who I am. This is my character. This is my genetics. But no, this is simply a habit of thinking in a certain way, a habit of feeling in a certain way, a habit of being a certain person. And if it's a habit, it means it can be changed. And here's where it gets most interesting. Because if your brain can create automatic programs that keep you in the past, that means it can create new programs that will lead you into the future. Neuroplasticity works both ways. Every time you consciously choose a new thought, a new emotion, a new behavior, you're literally forging a new neural pathway in your brain. And you know how long it takes for these new pathways to become strong enough to start working automatically? Research says from 18 to 254 days, depending on the complexity of the habit. But there's a magic point. 21 days of consistent practice creates a powerful enough foundation for change. Imagine Just 3 weeks of conscious attention to your thoughts and emotions can begin to reprogram your entire life. 3 weeks between the old you and a new version of yourself. But here's what's important to understand. This isn't just positive thinking. These aren't affirmations in front of a mirror. This is a scientifically grounded process of changing neural connections through the practice of a coherent state of brain and heart. When your internal state, thoughts and emotions, enters into resonance, you create a powerful electromagnetic signal that literally begins to change your biology and attract a new reality. And right now, I want you to pause for a second and write in the comments, what one version of yourself do you want to leave in the past? What habitual emotion keeps you in the cage of your old personality? Write it, because simple awareness is already the first step to freedom. Let's understand what happens at the level of science when you begin the process of transformation. Because this isn't magic and it's not chance. This is pure biology and physics. Your brain consists of billions of neurons that communicate with each other through electrical and chemical signals. Each of your thoughts is a specific pattern of neuron activation. Each of your emotions is a chemical cocktail that's released into the blood and informs every cell of your body about who you are in this moment. Serotonin tells the body, I'm happy. Dopamine says, I'm motivated. Cortisol screams, I'm in danger. And your body listens. It doesn't know the difference between a real event and an imagined one. It reacts to the chemistry you produce with your thoughts. That's why, when you lie in bed and replay tomorrow's stressful meeting in your head, your body is already living in that stress. Your heart beats faster. Breathing becomes shallow. Muscles tense. You're literally rehearsing stress, and your body memorizes this program. Now imagine the opposite. You close your eyes and begin to mentally rehearse your new future. You imagine yourself confident, strong, free from old fears. You don't just see a picture. You feel the emotions of this future right now. Joy, gratitude, inspiration, strength. And in this moment, your brain cannot distinguish imagined experience from real. It begins to create the same neural connections, activate the same areas, produce the same chemistry, as if this future has already happened. This is where the magic of neuroplasticity in action begins. You're literally rewriting your biology with the power of conscious intention. And here we come to a concept that sounds like science fiction, but is confirmed by quantum physics. The observer influences reality. In quantum experiments, scientists discovered something amazing. Elementary particles exist in a state of uncertainty, in multiple possibilities simultaneously, until an observer looks at them. At the moment of observation, the wave of possibilities collapses into one reality. Now let's translate this into the language of your life. While you're living on autopilot, not being aware of your thoughts and emotions, your life remains in a state of predictable patterns from the past. But at the moment when you become an observer of your internal state, when you consciously choose a new thought, a new emotion, a new intention, you collapse a new reality from the field of infinite possibilities. You literally become the creator of your experience. And here's what's important to understand. This isn't just a beautiful metaphor. Studies of heart rate variability show that when your brain and heart enter a coherent state, when your thoughts and emotions align, you create a powerful electromagnetic field that can be measured at a distance of several meters from the body. This field carries information about your internal state and literally interacts with the field around you. You become a living magnet for experience that corresponds to your internal frequency. That's why people who live in a state of gratitude and joy attract opportunities. And those who are stuck in fear and anger continue to attract confirmations of their fears. Now let's move to practice, because understanding without action is just entertainment for the mind. The first step is called awareness. You must become an observer of your automatic programs. Waking up in the morning, instead of immediately diving into the habitual flow of thoughts and emotions, stop yourself. Ask, what was the first thought I just had? What emotion did I feel? Is this the thought of a creator or a victim? Is this an emotion of the future or the past? Just observe, without judgment, without trying to immediately change anything. Because you cannot change what you're not aware of. Most people live on such deep autopilot that they don't even notice how they replay the same mental record 1,000 times a day. They think the same thoughts that produce the same emotions, that provoke the same behaviors, that create the same results. This is a closed circle, and the only way to break it is awareness. Make a commitment for the next 7 days to spend 5 minutes every morning simply observing your internal state. Write down your observations. What thoughts repeat most often? What emotions dominate? Just notice. This doesn't seem difficult, but it's the hardest part, because your body, which has become the mind, will resist. It will want to return to the habitual dose of familiar chemicals. But you are not the body. You are consciousness that uses the body as a tool. And it's time to take back control. The second step is breathing as a bridge between conscious and unconscious. Your breath is the only automatic function of the body that you can control consciously. And when you change your breathing, you change brain chemistry and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the system of relaxation and recovery. This is critically important because while you're in a state of stress, while the sympathetic nervous system dominates, your brain operates in survival mode, not creativity mode. In this state, transformation is impossible. Here's a simple but powerful practice. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and begin to take slow, deep breaths through your nose, counting to 6. Hold your breath for 3 counts. Then a slow exhale through your mouth for 8 counts. Repeat for 5 minutes. During this practice, focus your attention on the space around your body. Feel how with each exhale, you release tension, release old emotions, release the habitual version of yourself. You're creating space for the new. Research shows that such breathing practice increases heart rate variability, which is an indicator of balance and health of the nervous system. This isn't just relaxation, it's preparing your neurobiology to create the new. The third step is rehearsing your future self through emotions. Most people try to visualize what they want: a car, a house, relationships, money. But this doesn't work if you don't feel the emotions that these things will bring, because it's precisely emotion that is the language in which your body understands instructions. Emotion is the chemical signature of experience. When you feel gratitude even before something has happened, your body begins to believe that this future is already reality. And then your brain begins to restructure neural networks for this new state. Here's how to do it. After the breathing practice, when you're in a relaxed state, begin to imagine your ideal day in the future. Not just a picture. Feel it with your body. How do you wake up? What's the first emotion you feel? Confidence? Joy? Freedom? Hold that emotion. Amplify it. How do you move in this new state? How do you speak? How do you react to situations? Rehearse this new self again and again, like an actor before a premiere. And do it with such emotional intensity that your body begins to believe this is already your reality. Because for the subconscious and for the body, there's no difference between real experience and imagined experience if the emotion is strong enough. You're literally programming your neurobiology for a new future. And now I want to share a story that shows the power of this process. Imagine a woman, 38 years old, who suffered from panic attacks her entire life. Her body was biologically addicted to adrenaline and cortisol, the chemistry of fear. Every morning, she woke up with anxiety in her chest, even before opening her eyes. Her brain on autopilot launched the program: search for danger, prepare for the worst. And the body obediently followed the command: rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, trembling. Doctors prescribed pills, psychologists gave techniques, but nothing changed at a deep level because no one was working with her neurobiology. And so she decided on an experiment. 21 days of mindfulness practice, breathing, and rehearsing the new self. Every morning, as soon as she woke up, she stopped the automatic anxiety program. She observed the thought of fear without clinging to it. Then, 10 minutes of breathing practice to calm the nervous system. And then 15 minutes she mentally rehearsed herself calm, confident, free. And most importantly, she felt this freedom with her whole body, producing the chemistry of peace and strength instead of the chemistry of fear. The first week was hell. Her body demanded its habitual dose of stress, begged to return to familiar patterns. But she continued. Second week, something began to change. Panic attacks became shorter, less intense. For the first time in years, she felt glimpses of real peace. By the end of the third week, she woke up and realized anxiety is no longer the first thing she feels. Her brain had created new neural pathways, a new default program. 6 months have passed since then, and she lives without panic attacks. Not because she suppresses or controls them, but because she became a different person at a biological level. Her story is not an exception. This is a demonstration of how neuroplasticity works when you apply it consciously and consistently. Another story about a man 52 years old who his entire life considered himself a failure. His internal dialogue was ruthless. I'm not good enough. I never succeed at anything. I wasn't born with the right opportunities. These thoughts became his personality, and of course, his life perfectly reflected these beliefs. A series of failed projects, destroyed relationships, missed opportunities. He was living confirmation of his own limiting beliefs. But one day he heard about neuroplasticity and understood everything he considered his unchangeable essence was actually just a set of entrenched neural patterns that could be changed. He began the practice. Every day he caught the thought of a failure and consciously replaced it with a new one. I am worthy of success. Opportunities come to me. I create my reality. And most importantly, he began to rehearse the emotions of success. Gratitude for opportunities that hadn't yet come, pride in achievements that hadn't yet happened, joy from a life he hadn't yet created. Sounds crazy? Maybe. But after 21 days, his internal dialogue began to change. After 3 months, he launched a project he had dreamed about for years but was afraid to start. After 6 months, his business was bringing income. After a year, he didn't recognize himself in the mirror, not externally, but internally. He became a different person. Not because external circumstances changed him, but because he changed his neurobiology, and the external world responded to the new frequency on which he began to vibrate. You see, what's the secret? Most people wait for the external world to change first, and then they'll change. They think, when I get this job, then I'll feel successful. When I meet that person, then I'll be happy. When I have money, then I'll be safe. But it works exactly the opposite. First, you must become that person inside, in your thoughts, in your emotions, in your state of being. You must produce the chemistry of success, happiness, safety, even before you see external evidence, because it's precisely this internal state that creates the electromagnetic signature that attracts corresponding circumstances. You cannot attract a new life while remaining your old self. This is physically impossible. Your current personality created your current reality. If you want a new reality, you must become a new personality. And this is where 21 days become critically important. This is the minimum time in which you can begin to rewrite the automatic programs that have controlled your life for decades. Let's talk about what happens when you unite brain and heart in a coherent state. Most people live with dissonance between what they think and what they feel. Their mind says one thing, but their heart feels another. This misalignment creates internal chaos and blocks manifestation. But when your thoughts and emotions align, when you think about the future and feel the emotions of that future simultaneously, something amazing happens. Your heart and brain begin to work in resonance. Scientific research shows that in this state, heart rate variability becomes coherent, ordered, harmonious. This isn't just a pleasant feeling. This is a measurable, physiological state in which your body begins to send completely different signals to the nervous system and to the field around you. In a state of coherence, the heart sends harmonizing signals to the brain through the vagus nerve, and this affects your emotional state, cognitive functions, memory. You literally become smarter, more creative, more intuitive in this state. And here's what's important. This state can be trained like a muscle. Every time you practice mindfulness, breathing, and emotional rehearsal of the future, you strengthen the connection between brain and heart. You teach them to work together as a unified system. And the more you practice this state, the easier it is to enter it. The longer you can stay in it, the more powerful your electromagnetic field becomes, which interacts with the field of possibilities around you. Right now, I want to give you a mini challenge during viewing. Don't skip this moment, because reading or listening without action won't change your neurobiology. Right now, while you're watching this video, pause for a minute. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths in and out. On each exhale, release one thought that keeps you in the past. Release the emotion that has become your cage. Just breathe and release. And on the 4th inhale, imagine yourself in 21 days. Who will you become? What emotion will you feel as your new norm? Feel this emotion now, in this moment, even if only for a few seconds. Gratitude, joy, strength, freedom. Choose one and feel it with your whole body. This will take 1 minute, but this 1 minute can be the beginning of your 21 days of transformation. Because transformation doesn't begin tomorrow, not on Monday, not after you finish watching this video. It begins now, in this moment of choice. Pause, do it, and then come back and we'll continue. You're back? Excellent. Because now we'll move to the most important part: how to turn 21 days into sustainable transformation. You see, the biggest mistake people make is they start with huge enthusiasm for the first 3 days, and then the old personality begins to resist, and most give up right here. Because the body that has become the mind knows how to manipulate you. It will send you thoughts. This is stupid. This doesn't work. You don't have time. You've tried before and nothing worked. These aren't your thoughts. This is the voice of the old program, fighting for survival. Because if you change, this program dies, and it will fight to the last. That's why the first 7 days are critically important. This is the period when a real battle unfolds between the old and new self. And here's how you win this battle. Every morning, before checking your phone, before immersing yourself in the external world, you dedicate time to your practice. Not because it's convenient, not because you're in the mood, but because this is priority number 1. Because there's nothing more important than rewriting the programming that has controlled your life all these years. 10 minutes of conscious breathing, 15 minutes of rehearsing the new self through thoughts and emotions of the future. Just 25 minutes total. Can you find 25 minutes a day for complete transformation of your life? If the answer is no, it means you're not yet tired enough of the old version of yourself. It means the pain hasn't yet become strong enough to force you to change. And that's normal. Every person changes in their own time. But if you're still here, if you're still listening, it means something inside you is ready. Ready to take a step into the unknown of the new self. Day 7 is a critical point. If you've reached the 7th day of consistent practice, you're already not the same person you were a week ago. Your brain has begun to create new neural connections. Your body has begun to produce different chemistry. But here's also where the most dangerous thing happens. Your mind can tell you that you've already achieved the goal. You can relax. Don't believe it. 7 days is only the foundation. Real magic begins in the 2nd and 3rd weeks, when new neural pathways become strong enough to compete with old automatic programs. On the 14th day, you'll notice that certain triggers that previously automatically caused old emotional reactions no longer have the same power. You'll observe an old thought, an old pattern. But between stimulus and reaction, a space of choice appears. This is the moment when you understand transformation is real. You're no longer a slave to your automatic programs. By the 21st day, if you've been consistent, the new state begins to feel natural. Not necessarily easy, but natural. Your body begins to get used to the new chemistry of gratitude, joy, strength, instead of the old chemistry of fear, anger, shame. And this is where real life begins. The life of a creator, not a victim of circumstances. And now I want you to understand one thing. This isn't a one-time transformation. 21 days isn't the end point. It's the beginning of a new way of existing. Because neuroplasticity works constantly. Your brain changes every day depending on what you focus attention on and what emotions you cultivate. If after 21 days you return to old patterns of thinking and feeling, your brain will return to old neural pathways. It's like a muscle. If you stop training, it atrophies. That's why successful people, people who live in a state of constant growth and evolution, make mindfulness and emotional management practice part of their daily life. Not because they have some special abilities, but because they understood. Who I am today is determined by what I direct my attention to and what emotions I choose to cultivate. They know that every morning is an opportunity to either reinforce the old personality or create a new one. And they make the choice consciously, every day, no exceptions. That's the difference between people who transform their life and those who just dream about changes. Action, consistency, priority. Imagine for a second what your life would be like if in 21 days you woke up as a different person. Not with different circumstances, with a different internal state. You open your eyes, and the first emotion you feel is gratitude. Not because everything is perfect, but because gratitude has become your new chemistry, your new default program. You get up with energy and clarity because your body is no longer dependent on stress as a source of energy. You look at your day not as a series of obligations and problems, but as a field of opportunities for creativity. When a difficult situation arises, you don't react automatically with an old pattern. You observe, pause, choose a response from your new self. People around begin to notice changes. They can't explain exactly what changed, but they feel you're different. And they're right, because you're radiating a different frequency. Opportunities that previously passed by now are attracted to you because you've become a magnet for experience that corresponds to your new state of being. This isn't fantasy. This is the reality of thousands of people who have applied the principles of neuroplasticity consciously and consistently. And this can be your reality if you make the decision right now. Now I want to guide you through a short practice. Not a full meditation, but powerful enough to give you a taste of what's possible. If you can right now, find a quiet place where no one will disturb you for a few minutes. Sit comfortably, straighten your back, but don't tense. Close your eyes. Start with breathing. Slow inhale through the nose for a count of 6, filling your belly with air. Hold your breath for 3 counts. Slow exhale through the mouth for 8 counts, completely emptying your lungs. Repeat this 5 times, focusing only on breathing. With each exhale, imagine how you're releasing the old version of yourself, releasing emotions that kept you in the past, releasing thoughts of limitation, releasing the identity of victim. Just breathe and release. And now on the next inhale, begin to imagine energy entering your body. Imagine that each inhale brings new possibility, new state, new version of yourself. And on the exhale, spread this energy throughout your whole body. Imagine yourself in 21 days. Who are you? How do you feel? What emotion has become your new norm? Confidence, joy, freedom, peace, strength? Choose the emotion of your future self and begin to feel it right now. Don't think about it. Feel it. Allow this emotion to fill every cell of your body. Allow your body to believe this future is already here. Hold this state as long as you can. 1 minute, 2, 5. The longer you hold this new emotion, the stronger the new neural pattern becomes. You're literally rewriting your biology in this moment. And now, continuing to hold this emotion, mentally live through one moment from your future day. See yourself in action as this new person. How do you move? How do you speak? How do you react? Rehearse this with maximum detail and emotional intensity. Your body doesn't know this is imagination, for this is real experience. And when you finish this practice, open your eyes slowly. But carry this emotion with you for the rest of the day. This is your new state of being. Practice this every morning for the next 21 days, and you won't recognize yourself in 3 weeks. And now, the most important thing. I'm giving you a 7-day challenge that can change the trajectory of your life. For the next 7 days, without exception, you will do morning practice for 25 minutes. 10 minutes of conscious breathing and 15 minutes of rehearsing the new self through thoughts and emotions of the future. No skipping. No excuses. If you skip a day, you start the count over. Because consistency is the language in which your brain understands that you're serious about changes. 7 days is enough for you to see the first changes. Enough for you to feel a shift in your internal state. And if after 7 days you feel the difference, continue another 14 days to a full 21. By the end of this period, you'll be biologically a different person. This isn't an exaggeration. This is the science of neuroplasticity in action. But here's what's critically important. You must make the decision right now. Not tomorrow, not after you finish your tasks, now. Because if you postpone, you give the old personality a chance to convince you that this isn't needed, not important, not urgent. The old version of yourself will resist any changes because change means its death. The only question is, who's in control of your life? You or the automatic programs of the past? And the last thing I want you to do right now, write in the comments one emotion that you choose as your new default state. Not a thought, not a goal, specifically an emotion. Gratitude, joy, confidence, peace, strength, freedom, love. Choose one and write it in the comments. This isn't just a word, it's a public commitment to yourself. This is the moment when you tell the universe, I'm ready to become this. When you write it, you activate the part of the brain responsible for intention and action. You turn abstract desire into concrete declaration. And when you return in 7 days, in 14, in 21 days and read your comment, you'll see who you were at the moment of choice and who you became through the process of transformation. Write it now. One word. Your new emotional signature. Your new state of being. Remember, you're not just a biological machine doomed to repeat programs of the past. You are consciousness, with incredible ability to rewrite every aspect of your existence through directed attention and intention. Neuroplasticity isn't just a scientific concept. This is your superpower that's been waiting for you to learn about it and begin to use it consciously. 21 days. That's all that stands between the old you and the version of yourself you're even afraid to imagine because it seems too good to be real. But it is real. Thousands of people are already living this reality because they made the decision and acted consistently. Now it's your turn. Become a superhuman, not through some mystical abilities, but through scientifically grounded application of neuroplasticity. Your brain is waiting for instructions. Your body is ready to follow the new mind. The only question is, are you ready to take the first step right now?